The party began shortly after 9. Mr. Wood, who lived in the flat below, sighed to himself as he heard the first signs, the steady tramp of feet on the stairs, the sound of excited voices as the guests greeted one another, and the noise of the gramophone, which was turned full on. Luckily, Mr. Wood had brought some of the work home from the office, with which he occupied himself for a couple of hours, thus managing to ignore with some success the party which was going on over his head. But by 11 o'clock he felt tired and was ready to go to bed. Though from his experience of previous parties he knew that it was useless trying to get to sleep. He undressed and lay for a while on the bed, trying to read, but the noise from the room directly above his head did not allow him to concentrate on what he was reading. He found himself reading the same page over and over again. He then switched off the light and buried his head in the pillow in a desperate effort to go to sleep. But even so, he could not shut out the noise. Finally, after what seemed hours, he switched on the light and looked at his watch. It was just after midnight. By now, his patience was quite exhausted. He leaped out of the bed and putting a dressing gown over his pajamas, marched resolutely up the stairs to his neighbor's flat. He rang the bell several times, but the door remained closed in his face. This did not improve his temper. Just then, one of the guests came out and went off down the stairs. Leaving the door open, Mr. Wood went in. In spite of his odd dress, no one took any notice of him. Then he caught sight of the owner of the flat and managed to attract his attention. The man, whose name was Black, came across the room, smiling cheerfully, and before Mr. Wood could open his mouth to complain, said, "My dear fellow, come in and join us. I know our parties must bother you. I mean to send you an invitation." Mr. Wood's ill humor vanished at once. "I'd better go and get properly dressed," he said. As Mr. Wood left the room, Black turned to one of the guests and said, "As soon as I set eyes on him, I knew he would come to make trouble. That is why I asked him to join us. Did you see how pleased he was? He went off at once to get change. What a pity! The party is nearly over."